Welcome everyone to a Wild Soul Jungle Educational. In this video, we are going to explain Wild Soul in detail, showing jungle rotations as well as tips and tricks for the hero to optimize your gameplay. Now, before we get started, I would greatly appreciate it if you like the content to smash that subscribe button and drop a like on the video. Thank you so much, and let's get started with the video. So we're going to start here by explaining Wild Soul's abilities in detail. So our first ability here, Summon Boo Boo, has a mana cost of 75. Activate to summon Boo Boo as the ability is leveled up. Boo Boo's health increases and he gains the following abilities. So level 1 here, plus 50% attack damage versus jungle creeps. Level 2, Frenzy, extra damage when attacked. Level 3, Swipe, AoE damage and slow. Level 4 improves all of the above abilities. And then here, when Boo Boo dies, he deals 100, 200, 300, 400 mixed damage to you. We have a Staff of the Master effect here for Boo Boo, which allows Boo Boo to attack and deal damage when far from Wild Soul. So there is a leash range on the bear. He cannot be too far away from the main hero, or he will not be able to attack. And if the bear dies, it goes on a 30-second cooldown before you can once again resummon him. So that's our first ability. Our second ability here is Wild with a mana cost of 80. Activate to grant self and all units a buff for 45 seconds. The buff grants 20, 40, 60, 80 attack speed and 8, 12, 16, 20% movement speed for the first 10 seconds and half of that effect for the rest of the duration with a cooldown here of 20 seconds. So 45-second upkeep there, 20-second cooldown, and you get the full buff there for the first 10 seconds and half of the effect there for the remainder. Our third ability here, Natural Attunement, passively grants Wild Soul 2, 3, 4, 5 health regen and 0.5, 1, 1.5, 2 mana regen. Grants Boo Boo 10, 15, 20, 25% lifesteal. Now we have our ultimate ability here, our fourth ability, Bear Form. Mana cost of 20. Toggle on Bear Form, draining 1 charge per second. Bear Form grants Wild Soul 3, 6, 9 armor. All of Boo Boo's abilities and attacks become melee. Max of 30, 40, 50 charges, with a cooldown of 1 second between swapping between ranged and melee form. So you inherit all of the bonuses there from our first ability, Summon Boo Boo, onto the main hero when you are in the melee form there. So those are Wild Soul's abilities. Now we will talk about his strengths and weaknesses. So again, strengths, when we would like to pick up a Wild Soul for our games, what he excels at, and weaknesses, what the times we would not like to pick up a Wild Soul for our game where it would not be suitable for a specific scenario. So we'll start here with strengths. So Wild Soul, he is a very fast jungler, so he jungles very quickly. Once he reaches level 6 and he gets that bear form, he gains the attributes of his Boo Boo's abilities. He can start to farm jungle stacks. And he farms very quickly, similar to heroes like Legionnaire, Draconis, and Solstice, all very good stack clearing junglers. The list goes on, of course, but Wild Soul, once he gets to level 6, he becomes a very heavy flash farmer. A unique thing about Wild Soul, which I believe no other hero has in the game, is that he has the ability to hold up to 12 items, which is courtesy of his bear Boo Boo. The Boo Boo can hold 6 item slots. Um, on top of the, what are those called? Consumable slots. You can hold items like Dust, a Revelation. Very, very nice there. So theoretically, Wild Soul can scale very, very hard into the game as you have extra item slots for more items if a match does go for very long. Um, Wild Soul gets very high mobility from his Wild, his second ability there. He gets a lot of movement speed, which allows him to chase down enemies and also able to run away from people in sticky situations. He gets bonus attack speed as well, a lot of attack speed, which steroids him into a very threatening carry hero. And on his third ability, we get that very strong lifesteal presence, 25% to both the bear and the hero at the level 4. And this allows Wild Soul to go toe to toe versus other carries with heavy lifesteal effects. So he is very strong at manning up against other carry heroes. Our ultimate allows us to be melee or ranged form at our choice. So we can choose the situations when we want to make our attacks ranged, if enemies get out of range, and then we get those bonuses when we're in melee form. Very, very strong. Wild Soul is very good at pushing towers. The bear's level 3 ability Swipe. When we are in bear form, we get Swipe on our hero as well. It's a physical damage AoE slow, which does damage to buildings. So he is great for pushing towers and clearing creep waves. Um, and you can build accordingly to be a very fast tower pusher. And another effect here that's great about a jungle Wild Soul is similar to a war beast where you have those minions. You have the bear, which you can use to manipulate lane control for your offlane player, manipulating that creep wave and granting them lane positioning. So being able to use that boo boo, it's very hard for the opponent to stop that because he is very high health at the level 1, and you can just return him to yourself as long as he doesn't take damage within a set period of time. Oh, now we will talk about some of the weaknesses of Wild Soul. So, Wild Soul, he lacks early game presence before level 6. He does not have a stun or a slow prior to level 6. He needs to focus on his farming and his level progression. He is a carry hero after all, but he does lack early game presence, so he is not very team oriented in the early game. He lacks any form of crowd control against opponents that have escape style ability. So he does have that slow, but heroes that have escape mechanisms and blink effects are able to very easily escape the wrath of the Wild Soul. Um, Another thing that is detrimental to him is that he does soak a lot of farm. So if you run a Wild Soul with a hard carry in your team, so if you run a jungle Wild Soul and you have a very heavy farm dependent hero in your short lane that needs to farm the jungle, Wild Soul soaks a lot of farm and thus makes that hero weaker in your team. So Wild Soul, he requires allies and teammates to set up for him with stuns and crowd control effects to enable him to deal lots of damage. He does deal a lot of damage very quickly, but he can't always do it by himself. He needs to be enabled by teammates. Another weakness of the Wild Soul is if he goes up against heroes that counter life-stealing effects. So we have this very strong lifesteal on our third spell there, the Natural Attunement. If we go up against heroes like the Lord Self-Forest, for example, that counter healing effects, we will not be able to do those toe-to-toe man fights against other carries because we will not be able to heal. So he is very much countered by those lifesteal countering style of heroes. So those are the strengths and weaknesses of Wild Soul when you would look to pick him up in your games, and perhaps try to avoid picking him up when you have a very hard carry in your team that needs that jungle very early on in the game. But I believe now we can go into the jungle rotation here. So I have a replay ready for you guys. We will go into the jungle rotation here for Wild Soul on the Legion side. And the Hellborn side is, I believe, identical, so I'm only going to show you guys the Legion side. They are fairly similar. So we will get that game started. Change that over to our perspective here. We will lock our camera. So first things first, what are the key bindings that we use for Wild Soul? So we have multi-unit control here. Obviously, we have a summon, we have Boo Boo. So what I like to do is I like to put both my hero and my bear in control 1. I like to be able to control them both at the same time. So that's my control 1, and then put the bear only in control 2, and that's going to allow me to use the swipes later once we get that leveled up, and we can use our F1 or 1 to go back to our hero and micro our hero individually. So those are the only key bindings I use. As far as, unless we do a puzzle box build, and then we would put the puzzle box minions in control 3 and add them to our control 1 group as well. So first things first, the items that we look to buy. So on Wildsoul, because we are 2 heroes, we have 12 item slots in total. We buy a hatchet on both the hero and the bear. And as always, in all my jungle educationals, we're going to save at least 200 gold for the case that our camps get blocked by the opponent. So we have money for Words of Revelation if the occasion arises. We will be scouting out the ramps with both our hero and our bear, try to get as much information as possible to what is going on in the match before the creep spawn. We buy blights as well as the 2 loggers hatchets, and we will be sending ourselves the iron buckler once the horn strikes and the creeps get ready to be spawned. So those will always be our starting items: 2 loggers hatchets and a blight, and then we will send the shield to us next. So what you see me doing here is I will be chopping some trees. This is not mandatory. It just makes it makes it harder to lose vision of the creeps when we're farming in the jungle. So this is not required. You don't have to do this every game, but it's nice to remove these trees here so we can stand here and farm these camps a little bit easier. So here you will see me sending the iron buckler now that the horn has strike. We'll fast forward this a little bit. So we'll use our hatchets a couple more times, and this will be the last time we are going to use our hatchet on the creeps. We are now going to be throwing our hatchets to farm faster. We have 2 hatchets, so that helps us kill the camps a little bit quicker. So again, we'll fast forward here a little bit till the creeps are about to spawn. We always put the buckler on our bear. So we have blightstones, hatchet, and iron buckler on our bear, and only hatchet on our hero. These are the only items we need to jungle so far. So the creep camp, we will start on the medium camp here. And this I find is the best camp to start on. You could start on the easy camp, but it will make the rotation a little bit weaker. So I start on the hard camp here. We throw both the hatchets immediately, and we start eating a blight here with the bear. And we always want to move the boo-boo as much as possible to try to mitigate the damage. Once we get to level 2, we're going to skill our natural attunement, which gives both our hero and our bear health regen. So we're going to want to be splitting the tanking as much as possible because we get regen on both our hero and our bear. So we kill the medium camp. We're going to immediately move over to the easy camp here. We can attack it from uphill. We're going to stack it here at 53. So we're going to run back and we're going to start hitting it because we know it is going to stack. And we're going to farm it on this hill. So we're going to not let our boo-boo sit there and tank the whole camp. We're always going to be kiting the camp. So this is a nice technique to try to minimize as much damage as possible on the boo-boo. So we never sit there and we tank all the damage on the bear. The bear would take way too much damage. We go ahead, we eat another tree there. And this will get us around level 2.5. Or 2 3/4 actually. We finish this camp. And a little trick that I do here, and this is something you should try to get in the habit of. You start walking to the next camp that you want to farm, and you always keep your hero in range so your bear can attack. So that way I can resummon the bear, return it as it's called, and the bear will be where my hero is. So I'm already moving toward the next camp that I want to farm. And this makes us save a lot of extra time here. So we get a wild hunter spawn here. This one takes the longest to kill, but we're going to kill it just in time. And we're going to be camping the 2-minute rune here. So we hit level 3, we get level 2 of bear, summon boo boo. We're going to be maxing this ability first. This is the ability that improves all of our bear's attributes. So now that boo boo is level 2, he starts to get frenzy. So I want to go ahead and read that for you guys. Passively grants 2 attack damage for 15 seconds each time Boo Boo takes damage up to 30 damage maximum. So we get a buff here. This is our second spell, the Natural Attunement. This is our buff. So when the bear gets attacked, he starts hitting harder. So we want to let the bear get attacked, but we also still want to be microing him to reduce the
The
amount of
forest
damage he
is my
takes.
home.
Because the bear does more
Hideaway.
damage than our hero once he starts to get frenzied up.
It's panda
So
time.
again, as always in my jungle
Absolutely.
educationals, I camp the rune here, but I do not take it. We're going to go back to farming. We're going to go to the hard camp here. And the first item we're going to be
Naturally.
building towards is going to be our punch dagger for our ghost marchers. Now, Ghost Marchers is a preference. You could go Steam Boots as well. Steam Boots and Ghost Marchers are, I would say, equally as good. Very similar to Solstice. All comes down to your playstyle. The Ghost Marchers allows you to be more active and set up ganks with your swipes around level 6 and 7. So you're able to be more active. With Steam Boots, you're a little slower, but you do farm relatively the same speed as the Ghost Marchers. You just get extra health. So if you're against bursty style of lineups, you want that extra HP from Steam Boots, by all means go for Steam Boots. But uh, I do like going for the Ghost Marchers. They uh,
It's GG.
they give more mobility and allow me the presence to gank. So I go ahead and I kill that hard camp.
Better than me.
We start moving to the medium camp. You see me constantly moving my
Okay,
bear.
enough
I
of
tank a
you.
little bit of damage with my hero.
I have survived for many years here.
So we get level 4. We're going to spec Wild now, and we're going to start using that.
Naturally.
So this is going to help us farm quicker.
And if you're
We're going to
better than
stack
me,
this camp. Now I
excellent.
actually hit this camp a little bit early, so it's going to
It's
run back.
GG.
So if you watch here what I do, I hit it and I move my bear back, which drags the range
Okay,
creeps
enough
back.
of you.
So a little nifty trick there.
On the
If you
trail.
if you're not comfortable
Better
doing
than
that,
me.
just wait till 53, stack it, and start attacking it up here like we did on the very first
Enough of you.
easy camp spawn. Um, I want to show you guys something here as well. So the bear does a lot more damage, as you can see, once he starts building up those frenzy stacks. He's got 15 right now. He hits for 79. Our
I'll do
hero hits
whatever it
for
takes to protect the
almost
bamboo
60.
forest.
So our bear is hitting a lot harder. Plus he gets plus 50% damage versus jungle creeps. So the bear is going to be doing most of the damage when we farm. Our hero is going to be doing much less. So when the creeps get low, what you'll see me do is I'll stop attacking with my bear and I'll let my hero finish it off. I'll do the same thing here. We move the bear to hit the higher HP creep, and that's just a small efficiency thing to maximize our damage output while we jungle. And if you get in the
On
habit
the
of doing
trail.
this, you're
I
going
have
to be able
survived
to
for
move from
many
camp to
years.
camp faster. So just like how I move my hero closer to the next camp I'm going to run to, you'll see me microing my attacks.
Say hi to my
There,
favorite
I
thing.
didn't do it, but
On the
I'm going to be
trail.
doing it as much as
It's
possible.
GG.
I'm already moving my hero over to
Naturally.
walk this way. So now we hit level 5 here. We're level 5 at roughly 3.5 minutes. And now that we have level 5, we get Swipe on our bear. So Swipe smashes the ground, dealing 160 physical damage to enemies in the area and slows them by 75% for 1.5 seconds. So this is a very powerful ability. This is what lets us um, kill the jungle camps quickly, but also allows us to set up ganks when we need to. So we will get this swipe ability on
The
our main
forest
hero
is
once
my
we have
home.
our ultimate and we are in melee form. We have to be in melee form to get that swipe ability on our hero. So that is on an
Hideaway, enough
11-second
of you.
cooldown, and we're going to be using that every time it's up. And this ability gets a charge system. It doesn't say it here in the description, but it gets one or two attacks, and then after two attacks, it will automatically cast. It doesn't matter how many charges the swipe has, it will always do 160 damage. So we want to be using that every time it's off cooldown. So you're going to see me manually using that.
Absolutely.
Okay, I didn't do it there, but bad
Naturally.
example. But I'm going to be doing it throughout
Say hi to your better than me.
most of
I'm
the
nice
jungling. You're
here.
going to see me using the swipes just about every time it's off cooldown.
On the trail.
Okay, again, I didn't do it there,
It's
but
GG.
so I end up stacking this camp. My bear is getting really low on health, so I can't do that. I'm gonna wait till I get
It's
to level
panda
6.
time.
And what I'm gonna do here, because my bear is low, and we need the bear to tank before we get
Better
level
than
6, is
me.
I'm gonna go ahead and buy myself a health pot. It's perfectly fine
Naturally.
to buy yourself more regen when jungling, but you should
Better than
not need to
me.
use more than one health pot in your jungle rotation. If you
I
are
can do it.
using more than the
Hi-hi, enough of
first
you.
3 blights that we start off in the game with and one health potion. If you use more than that, you're doing something wrong when jungling.
I have
So
survived for
here we
many
get level
years here.
6, a little over 4.5 minutes. This is very important. We are going to now give the punch dagger that we had on our bear. This was the first item we bought after initial starting items. We're going to put that on our hero. We also give the iron buckler to our hero, and we have sent ourselves marchers. We almost have the full ghost marchers, so I didn't mention the marchers, but they have been sent to us as soon as we got our next 500. And now we are waiting for our next 500 gold to finish our ghost marchers. So we have all of our items minus the one hatchet on the bear on our hero, and now we will start to use bear form, as you will see here. We're going to go into bear form. We're going to have 2 swipes. So it doesn't say here, it says wild. It should say swipe, but as you can see, the icon is the same for swipe. So we have swipe on both our main hero and our bear.
Easy.
So again, earlier we didn't finish this camp. We stacked it. We're going to go ahead and triple that. And we're going to be able to do this triple
I
camp here at
survived
level
for
6
many
because we
years
have 2
here.
swipes. So we let that camp reset. We are
Naturally.
going to we're going to make sure our swipe hits all of the units here, and we're going to kill the big creeps first. Don't have to worry about the little creeps because we will wait for our next swipe to come up. Always micro our bear. We don't want to lose the bear. The bear can farm on low HP. He gets lifesteal, so he's just fine. Go ahead, we use the swipes there, and now we're level 7. So we're level 7 here by around 5 minutes and 22 seconds. So what we're going to be doing a lot of the time when jungling is we're going to be swapping in and out of bear form to upkeep the charges here. So these charges will be going down when we're in melee form, and they will be going up when we're in ranged form. But here we're right next to the camp, so we're just going to go ahead and stay in melee form. Once we kill this camp, we're going to switch over to ranged form immediately, so we start gaining the charges back. And now that we've reached a very comfortable farming position, we're going to start sending the bear over to stack ancients. So what is the technique for stacking with Boo Boo? Uh, if we are at about here in the jungle, we wait till around 30 seconds on the clock. It takes around 20 seconds or so for the bear to walk over to ancients, depending on what level of wild we have as well. The bear gets the bonus movement speed from wild, but roughly around every half minute mark, we want to be sending the bear over to ancients from the middle of the jungle to stack those. So you're going to see me here just farming with my main hero. We have the Ghost Marchers being sent to us. And the next item we are going to be building into is Nullfire Blade. Nullfire Blade is very strong on Wild Soul. I think it's safe to say it's probably the strongest item currently on Wild Soul. So we don't have enough time to farm this camp. So what we're going to do is we're going to wait here and stack it. And we will stack with our
I've had
hatchet
enough of you.
on the Ancients here. As you, actually, let me rewind that. So first I hit with my hero here.
Say
So
hi
I
to my
stack and I
fiance.
move back, and then I throw the hatchet, and you can return the bear immediately. You
On
do
the
not have to
trail.
micro the bear backward. And as we can see here, we remove Fog of War. We have stacked the Ancients, and we have stacked this hard camp. So we'll go into melee form. We'll use our swipe. We pull our bear back to our hero. We use swipe again, and you guys will just you'll get used to the micro after a couple of games of Wild Soul of using the return and the swipe.
Naturally.
And we're already level 8 now. Level 8 at
It's
6
time to
minutes and
talk.
17 seconds. We're going to put 2 points here in natural attunement. So we have 4, 1, 2, 1 skill build. Um, while I have it paused here, I'm just going to explain to you guys the next couple of levels so I don't have to say it as we get there. But we're going to put another point in wild at level 9, so we'll be 4, 2, 2, 1. And then at level 10, we're going to do 3 points in natural attunement so we have more lifesteal and more regen. That way we can do ancients easier. But that's coming up very soon. We have a double stack here. We're going to wait till that's triple stacked, and then we're going to go over and do those ancients. So for now, it's just a normal jungle rotation. We kill the camps. We see it's almost 6.5 minutes on the clock. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use our bear, use the double swipes, and 6:34, we're going to immediately start sending Boo Boo. We just used him to get that extra damage there. That extra damage on the 2 camps as we pull them together. You see they're already low. We will swap into range farm now. And you can see from 34 seconds, the bear is in perfect position here. At 64, we throw the hatchet. We go over to the other side of the jungle. If this was minute 7, we would,
Easy.
or minute 6, we would camp the rune, or minute 8. You
Say hi to my
it
fiance.
depends on what our short lane is doing with these 2 camps, so we don't even have to go over here, but it's always good to be stacking camps whenever possible. And
I'll
again,
do whatever
in
it
all my
takes to
jungle
protect the
educationals, I
bamboo
tell you guys,
forest.
do not touch this camp or this camp. The only times we ever touch those camps is if we have somebody blocking several camps and we need them in the early game. We never need to farm this or this. We leave those 2 camps to our short lane to utilize pulling. So we go over to our hard camp, our medium camp, we pull the two camps together, we use double swipe, we get the 160 damage on both camps from both the hero and the bear. And now we have triple ancients. So we're going to finish our jungle rotation and then we're going to go over to the ancients.
On the trail. It's Gigi.
So melee form, use swipe, return bear, use swipe, go back into range form.
Whoopee.
We're always upkeeping our charges on our bear form. So we have a very low bear, but that's perfectly
I've
fine.
survived
We
for
have
many
enough.
years here.
We have enough lifesteal to do this triple stacked hard ancient camp.
They might be
So
better
we're
than
level
me,
9.
but I'm
This
not scared
this
of
is
them.
honestly the earliest I would ever suggest doing triple ancients with. It's very risky. You're going to take a lot of damage here. A good rule of thumb is that you can wait until level 10 when we have level 3 of natural attunement. Because when we have level 3, we will definitely have enough lifesteal and regen to upkeep our health when doing the stack. You're going to see here, I'm going to show you guys, this is the earliest you ever want to do the stack is level 9. Before this, before level 9, you will just simply be too weak. So I'm going to take a lot of damage here, but don't worry, I'm not going to die. I'm going to make sure to micro my bear. He's getting very low. I need him for that swipe. So I'm going to make sure to move him back in so the swipe hits everything. And we're going to always be focusing down the hardest, the strongest damaging ancient creeps. So I'm going to hit level 10 here. I'm going to get that level 3 natural attunement, and now I have even stronger lifesteal. And we're just about running out of charges here. So obviously, if we were in ranged form or we ran out of charges, we would not be able to farm this. We would not get the lifesteal on our hero. So it's very important there.
I
That
can do
is the
it.
earliest we can do triple stacked ancients is level 9. We need to be full
I'll
health on
do
our
whatever
hero
it takes to
and
protect the bear
around
from full
half health
swipe.
on the bear at the very least. So I immediately go over to the hard camp. This is all I'm going to have time to farm, and I'm going to show you guys how to stack more than 2 camps with Wild Soul.
It's
So here
panda
we're level
time.
10 and a half by 846. So we're going to send the bear here to stack 1 camp with the hatchet, and we're going to send our hero to the middle of the jungle where we're going to use our hatchet and our auto attack to stack
Naturally.
the middle 2
Say
camps here. So
hey
we
to my
start by
panda.
throwing auto attacks there and there, and then we throw hatchet. We run our bear that way, we run our hero this way, and you
I
will
can do
see
it.
any second now triple stack. Very important. You always want to be stacking the
On the
jungle
trail.
once we're at this phase of the game,
I've
because
survived for
we're gonna
many
farm
years here.
four neutral camps here, 2 hard camps and 2 medium camps. We make sure the swipe hits everything. We make sure to tank with our hero, and we don't need to tank with the bear. The bear is more or less just here for the swipes and the extra damage. And once we get to 30 seconds, we're going to start sending our bear back over to Ancients to be
It's
stacking
panda
again.
time.
So we know that we just took the triple stack. So I'm going to probably finish the camp here, 30 seconds. We send the bear over to stack
No
Ancients.
trespassing.
We have a double stack here, but don't worry, we're level 11. So now that we're level 11, we get 10 extra charges on our ultimate. We instantly get those charges when we level up. So we get some nice upkeep there. We get some extra armor, and then we just kill everything in that camp. That was a
And
double
that
stacked
was
easy
you.
camp. We were able to kill it with
I
just
can
our
do it.
hero. And because it's 10 minutes here, we can go camp the rune. We stack the ancients with our boo boo. We threw the hatchet.
I'll do
We
whatever
will
it
again.
takes
We
to
won't
protect
take
the
the
bear
rune. We're
from
just gonna
full
go here,
swipe.
camp it. Say, hey, mid player, do you want the rune? He'll say yes or no. You guys
Easy.
know the deal with camping runes. Then we go back to jungle, and we're going to stack the ancients one more time before we go and take it. So right now it's double stacked. We're level 11 at 10 minutes, almost level 12, so we're farming very, very well
Something
here.
very fun.
We always want to use our wild in the jungle.
It's
Back
panda
to range
time.
form when we're
I can
running
do it.
around
I don't
to
like
upkeep those charges.
trespassing.
We have 40 charges, so we're doing a good job of upkeeping
Absolutely.
all of our ultimate charges. We're going to get level 3 of wild here, so we have 4, 3, 3, 2 now.
Absolutely.
And then we're going to get natural attunement and then wild, I
Easy.
believe. So here we ran out of camps to farm. Again, we don't need to touch any of these camps, so we just farmed the 4 camps. We farmed them so fast that we're over here with our hero. We don't even need to send the boo-boo. We're just going to send our hero here, and we're going to do
And
another
look
triple
at
stack.
you.
So 11 minutes into the game, we're going to do 2 triple stacked hard camps.
Absolutely.
Or, excuse me, ancient camps. I keep saying hard camps.
I've
Um,
survived for
now we have
many
our
years here.
Nullfire Blade level 1. Again, we've been sending those Alacrity Blades every time we get the 1,000 gold post Soul Scream Ring. We started with Soul Scream Ring after Ghost Marchers. Then we get Alacrity Band, Alacrity Band. and then we get the recipe for Nullfire. So we go in here, swipe, swipe. We always kill the Dragon Masters. They deal the most damage. Then we kill the Dread Beetles next. So we always focus down the big creeps. They do the most damage to us. And then once we swipe down all the little creeps, we'll start to kill all the little creeps off. And we're almost level 13 here. So again, we're almost level 13 at 11 and a half minutes. We have Null Fireblade
Naturally.
level 2. And now the goal here is what we want to do is we want to get Null Fireblade level 3 and we want to get level 14. Once we have all our abilities maxed out, that's going to be when we're going to do Kongor.
Absolutely.
So we can do Kongor and just like the last time, after we took the triple ancients, we take the hard camp, then we send the bear to stack this and our hero to stack the middle of the jungle. So this was just like the last time we farmed the ancients triple stack.
It's
We
GG.
go ahead there, hit hatchet, hatchet. We have almost an entire stacked
It's
jungle.
panda time.
We're level 13. We're going to do one more jungle rotation, and then
It's
we are
looking
going
better than
to
me.
go do Kongor with a Null Fireblade level 3. We make sure our swipe hits more or less everything here. We do so much damage, we can pretty much just auto attack everything down. Don't really need to micro too much at this point. Everything just dies so quickly.
Naturally.
So we have a double stack here. We'll use our swipes once they come up.
On the trail.
So we need
No
860
way,
gold.
trespassers.
We'll have it about once we kill this camp. So we are just about to be, we're just about level 14 here, under 13 minutes. So we are higher level than the minute mark, which is exceptional farming speed. We're sending our Nullfire
Absolutely.
Blade level 3, and what we're going to do here is we're going to stack the Ancients, and then
On the trail.
we're going to kill one creep to get level 14, and then we will do Kongor. So we
I
don't
can do
have
it.
any stack here. We're only going to do the Ancients when they're triple stack. So
Absolutely.
you'll see me use the Wild there. We kill one creep, we get level 14, we insta-skill our hero, and now it's time to do Kongor. So at level 14, 13 minutes into the game, we are able to solo kill Kongor. I'm going to show you guys how to solo kill Kongor. It's relatively straightforward. We're just going to auto attack every time he throws a boulder. We're going to micro out of the boulder radius, and we're going to keep our hero and our bear split up. So that way we have an easier time managing who tanks the Kongor hits. We always want to tank the Kongor hits with our hero. We got lots of lifesteal, so he throws the boulder. We move out of the radius. You can see how much mana drain we're doing with the Null Fire Blade. We're doing so much damage to Kongor. This is only Ghost Marchers and a Null Fire Blade. Now our wild, so you might have not seen it there. It was very fast. What I did was I changed out of bear form. I'm going to show you guys one more time. So we have 25 seconds on the wild here. I'm going to change out of melee form into ranged form any second. There we go. I'm in ranged form. I used my wild, and what that does is, we talked about that when we explained the abilities. We're going to get that double bonus, the full effect of the wild here. So before he starts to go enraged, when he starts to hit harder and faster, we have the extra burst of attack speed to take this, to keep our upkeep, our life steal, and take this down quickly. So you're going to see me hitting faster now. I'm going to upkeep my health here. He's going to get enraged. I'm going to start taking heavy damage here. So I'm going to micro a little bit so the bear takes focus. Now, I actually did a little bit of a mistake here. I didn't want my bear to die, but it's perfectly fine as long as we kill the Kongor. The Boo Boo only has a 30-second cooldown, so it's completely fine. I saved myself some health here by not tanking those extra few auto attacks where the bear did. Now, if you have teammates helping you do Kongor, you won't need to take as much damage with the bear. But it's perfectly fine to let Boo Boo die, of course, as long as we don't lose our hero. We just did a 13.5-minute Kongor. We're level 14, almost level 15. We have Ancients to work on, which we can do these without our Boo Boo. We would ideally stack these and then wait to resummon Boo Boo. We could go to the other part of the jungle, run back. But this is going to be the full jungle rotation. Um, Again, we're level 14, under 14 minutes. We soloed Kongor. We have a Null Fireblade level 3 in Ghost Marchers. This is without ganking at all. We're going to do ganking um, throughout the early game stages once we get past our level 6. And we'll be able to help our allies and set up kills. But this is the most efficient farming rotation for Wild Soul. And on top of that, you get your team that early Kongwards to get those bonuses. So very, very strong jungle farmer. That will be the jungle rotation. And now, as always, we'll talk about the item builds. So I have those in a separate replay here. We'll go over what I believe are some of the best Wild Soul builds in the current meta. So I'll go over them one by one with you guys once we get this pulled up here. Okay, so we'll fast forward here a little bit. So this is item build number 1. So you saw me starting to build toward this. We had the Ghost Marchers and the Null Fireblade there in the practice mode. Now again, for all the item builds that I'm going to show you guys, you can have Steam Boots or Ghost Marchers. Both are very good. It just depends on the situation of the game and how you want to be playing the Wild Soul. But for the sake of the builds, I am always going to be showing you guys Ghost Marchers. I just really like the extra mobility on the hero for the positioning and the ability to set up ganks. So this is our first build here. What we do is we go into those Ghost Marchers, then the Null Fireblade level 3, and then we will pick up either a Geometer's Bane or a Shrunken Head into a Gunjuro. So we will be having both a Geometer's Bane and a Shrunken, depending on the opponent team composition, and a Gunjuro. This is what I like to call the active hard carry build. I call it active because once you have a Null Fireblade, you can be fighting with your team and setting up kills. And it is still a very hard carry build because all of these items are built toward carrying the game. Um, so a lot of these item builds, before I go into the next one, a lot of these item builds are going to be more so reactive to what you're playing against. A hero like Wild Soul, he can be built many different ways. The items that we build in each game is going to really depend on what we're playing against. So what we need to counter and what's going to help us excel throughout the game. So items like Geometer's Bane, we don't need to get those every game. If the Disjoint is really good, if we want it for split pushing, if we want the Dispel effect, if there's lots of things we can dispel. Similarly with the Shrunken Head to prevent stuns and stuff so we can keep auto attacking. There are going to be games where you don't need a Shrunken Head. There's going to be games where you don't need a Geometer's Bane. But overall, these are very solid item choices. A Genjuro always feels good on Wild Soul. This incorporation or in conjunction with the Null Fireblade helps us sit on targets with those slows and finish them off. So this is our first build. Gonna fast forward here to the next build, which we're only going to swap out one item. So instead of the Null Fireblade, we are going to go for a Mock of Brilliance after the Ghost Marchers or the Steam Boots. And this is what I like to call the hard carry Wild Soul build. So this is more so if we don't go jungle Wild Soul, if we were a laning Wild Soul, if we laned in the short lane as a traditional carry, and we wanted to farm in the beginning of the game on the lane and then transition into the jungle, we could go for an item like Mock of Brilliance because this item really helps us farm quickly versus an item like Null Fireblade, which gives us that extra single target damage. Mock of Brilliance helps us farm farm those jungle camps very fast. Excuse me. Then we would build into items like Firebrand, either into a full Geometer's Bane or a Firebrand into a Shrunken, depending on the situation of the game. We would get the full Geometer's Bane and a Gunjuro. Just like the last item build without the Null Fireblade, these items are very standard on Wild Soul, very, very good overall. If you get all of these items plus one extra item, you're going to be feeling very, very powerful. So again, this item build, I call this one the hard carry build. This is an item build I would do if I do not have another hard carry in my team. So we would not go Mock of Brilliance in the jungle if we had another hard carry in the short lane, because this Mock is going to eat up so much farm on the map. It would be very similar to doing something like Mock on Parasite. It might make us individually strong, but it's very bad for the team overall. It's going to soak a lot of farm. You're going to need more items before you can really be useful in fights. So it's very greedy, but this is a good build if we are the only carry in the team. So very much worth mentioning there. So very strong item build, but very situational, not for every single game. All right, this one is a little bit different. So this one I like to call the team fight / tower push aura Wild Soul build. So this one what we're going to do here is we would go into our Ghost Marchers or Steam Boots. Again, I prefer Ghost Marchers. We would build into a Whispering Helm, and then we would go into Puzzle Box 3. I know it says 2 there, but pretend it's a Puzzle Box level 3. We're going to dominate either a Skeleton King or a Minotaur, and we're going to have a Puzzle Box level 3. We basically build ourselves that army, and we're going to run at people and push towers, and we deal so much damage. Now, our Wild, it says here, activate to grant self and all units, all owned units, a buff. So this wild buff goes to our puzzle box creeps, our Whispering Helm creep. Just like Warbeast with his battle cry, the wild spreads to all the units we control. So that's why this puzzle box build can work, is because we have that buff with wild. So if we're able to get a very early timed puzzle box with Whispering Helm, we can deal so much damage in team fights, push towers so quickly. So the follow-up items to that, we would build into Abyssal Skull, Soul's Bulwark into an eventual Demonic Breastplate, and Barrier Rattle situationally, if they have a lot of anti-push, we would need that magic shield to keep our creeps alive longer. So the Barrier Idol is the most replaceable item in this build, the Demonic and the the Abyssal Skull. Very strong auras for pushing and fighting. So again, this is a team fight tower push aura build. Very, very strong um, if the situation arises for that occasion. And lastly, I want to talk to you guys about one build. This one would be my least favorite of all the ones I mentioned, but it's something you guys might find more fun. It's a little bit of a different play style to the Wild Soul. So traditionally, we think of Wild Soul as a hard carry, which that is his primary role. He is a hard carry. But with this item build, this is again a more active style of item build, and this is one that I would say is worth mentioning against or picking up against heroes that have many escapes or opponents that have many escapes rather. So if we're playing against heroes like Dr. Pulse or Wretched Hag, and there's more than one or two of those style of heroes in the game, heroes with high mobility, heroes that are hard to lock down and sit on them with our swipes, what we can do is we can go into items like Portal Key and Hellflower, and this allows us to get on top of them and stay on top of them with our slows. We get that extra damage amplification from Hellflower on top of the swipes. If we're able to swipe after, increase our swipe damage. We already deal so much auto attack damage. We get a lot of attack speed from Hellflower and Wild. We can kill people very, very quickly. So we would need a Shrunken Head with this style of build because we would be very vulnerable, not having a lot of HP and stats. But this build is worth mentioning if we're against those heavy escape style of heroes. So again, this one is farther down the list. It's worth mentioning, but it's not a build like the Null Fireblade build that I would say is more traditional and better in most cases. This one is a little bit more situational. So as long as those conditions apply, you can try and test out this item build. But that's going to be the main item builds there for Wild Soul. Um, Next, I want to talk to you guys about the late game item decisions for Wild Soul. So again, Wild Soul is a hard carry hero. There are going to be a lot of the item pickups we do are going to be reactive to what our opponent is doing. So what items the opponent carry is building means what items we're going to need to build into a lot of the times. So I'm going to go over a lot of the items here in this guide. And again, a lot of these are going to be straightforward, but I'm just going to go over them quickly. So the first one's going to be Harkon's Blade. So when we pick up a Harkon's Blade as like our fifth or sixth item is when we're versus high physical armor opponents or we're against multiple Void Talisman heroes. So if we're against two or more Void Talismans and we can't attack people because we are only physical damage as a Wild Soul, we will need to build into Harkon's Blade. So always keep in mind that there is the possibility we will need to build into a Harkon's Blade. Now, with that being said, Harkon's Blade is very strong on Wild Soul. If we are 5 or 6 slotted and we get a Harkon's Blade, we are going to kill people in like 4 or 5 hits. It's so much damage. Very, very good late game item. Not an early game item, not a second or third or anything like that. Always going to be a 5th or 6th style of item. The next one is Savage Mace. We're only going to be buying Savage Mace when we need to counter evasion style effects. So if we're against Wingbow enemies or if we're against heroes that have evasion, um, then we're going to need to pick up a Savage Mace. So that's going to be only in certain situations. The next one is Rift Shards. So Rift Shards, it's a great damage output item, and we have a lot of attack speed as a Wild Soul. We build into a lot of agility items. We have the bonus attack speed from our Wild, so we're already hitting very fast. Rift Shards is a great item overall, but mainly we're going to be buying this item when we're against high health strength enemies. So if we're against one or more high strength or high HP pool heroes, we're going to want those Rift Shards to enhance our damage, as we get 10% of the target's max health as bonus damage when we have those Rift Shards for. So great damage amplification item. So the next one here is Wingbow. When we would buy a Wingbow is when we reverse enemy carries in man fights, and those carries don't like to build Savage Mace. So an example could be, let's just say we're against a Ravenor, or maybe a Gemini is a good one, a good example. A hero that likes to carry and right click but doesn't like to build into a Savage Mace. It's kind of awkward for them. When we're going into those one-on-one man fights, a Wingbow is very strong on Wild Soul, giving us that evasion, giving us that extra edge over our opponent so that we can win those one-on-one fights. Very, very strong late game item. Also, uh, don't forget we can be ranged or melee depending on what bear form we are in, or if we're in main form. So we can either get the extra 100 attack range as a ranged hero, or we can get the unit walking and movement speed on melee form. So we get both bonuses depending on what form we're in. Very important there. Give me one sec, guys. I just need to take a quick drink. Okay. And next is Demonic Breastplate. So Demonic would be when we need to bulk up in armor, or when we're against high physical damage lineups, which gives our team armor and allows us for that extra tower pushing, like I talked about in that um, team fighter tower push build. The Demonic is very good in those situations. So very, very strong team fighting aura. That also gives us attack speed as well, so more attack speed on top of our wild. Very, very solid item choice. I don't have it on the guide here, but I will say that Dawnbringer is a solid choice, and this item will give us extra mobility and chasing power. So it is a very strong option, but I would only suggest getting a Dawnbringer when we do not need a Geometer's Bane. So if Geometer's Bane is not a required item for a specific game, then we can look to build into a Dawnbringer as a supplement. Lots of mobility, lots of chasing power with the Dawnbringer. So that will cover the late game items. I just want to go over with you guys some of the tips and tricks that I talked about with you guys. So I showed you guys using Boo Boo to stack, um, as well as using your hero. The timings for stacking Ancients with the bear, when to send him. And I didn't get to show you guys in this educational, but hopefully I can show you in the part 2 how we use the Boo Boo to scout for us when we don't have vision, when we look to push lanes. We use the Boo Boo to give us information what our opponents are up to. So we can use Boo Boo as a scouting tool. I showed you guys efficient stacking, when to stack what camps and how to clear them, when you guys can take what triple stacks and what not. I showed you guys how to upkeep charges on your bear form, when to swap in and out of ranged and melee form when we're not farming. So I talked about in the very beginning of the video how we have 12 item slots. A nifty trick you can do, if the game goes very long, we can start building those auras on our bear. So the Abyssal Skull, the Demonic Breastplate, we can put those items on our Boo Boo. So we don't have to put them on our main hero. We can put them on the Boo Boo, and then we get those auras for our main hero, which is great. So we can use Boo Boo as more of an aura for the items. Showed you guys how to micro the Boo Boo and our hero with the swipes. And then we can use those for also for killing heroes and killing towers. We want to use that swipe every time it's off cooldown. We don't want to wait for those charges to build up. We get in the habit of microing the swipes. And also, something that I didn't get a chance to show you guys, hopefully I'll get to show you in the part two, but I'm going to mention it here before we wrap up the video, which is when we pick up a Conjuro or a Shroud, um, we are able to use our bear form, so our ultimate. We're able to toggle between ranged and melee form while we are invis with our Conjuro or Shroud, and it does not break our invis. So very, very nice trick there. If we Shroud in or Conjuro in, we can swap over to melee form before we get on top of them and attack them from melee form and swipe them immediately. Very, very strong. So wanted to make sure to get that one in there. But that's all I have for you guys about Wild Soul and the tips and tricks. So if you enjoyed this educational, please remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And hopefully soon I will be doing a part 2 video where I analyze a replay explaining my decisions that I made throughout the match. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next one.